Hey everyone, Magic Sword here, and I managed to get the second half of these neutrals out today. Yes! Yes, unless I didn't, in which case, boo, boo. So, let's start off with Traveling Merchant, 3 mana, 2/3, gain +1/+1 for each other friendly minion you control. So, we've seen this effect before, we have it on our big Frostwolf boy, right? But 3 mana makes it a little more playable, I think, because you're able to play this with more cards in the same turn. And it's neutral, so it doesn't rely on Shaman, which, Shaman historically has been like the Murloc class or like other wide-ish board class, right? That's why it paired so well with Bloodlust. But nowadays, that's not so much the case. With Bloodlust gone and generally those other wide board tools kind of out of its kit. So this being neutral opens up a world of possibilities. But does that make it good? That's a great question. I'm glad I asked. I would say no. I don't think it's great. I think maybe you see this in Paladin with the quest, or possibly Druid if that minion based Druid gets off the ground, right? All those squirrels and all that. Tradable increases the power of this a lot. So, like, let's say you're playing a Druid deck and you want to, build up your board. Let's say it's it's got enough like not Glowfly Swarm specifically, but enough effects like that you can have a big turn where you play a bunch of minions. But you're not there yet. You haven't had your big board turn. You're still waiting. So you just say, all right, this comes back later, right? You shuffle it, draw something else, and hey, maybe now you can make that wide board, right? So the problem with Frostwolf Grunt, for example, is that it would often just get stuck in your hand. That's why it never really saw play, except maybe in Classic. I'm not too familiar with the Classic meta. So this being tradable, right? When you have these like cards that are really powerful situationally, and then they're tradable, we noticed that with Rustrot Viper, right? That's another great example of that's a tech card, but still situational just for different reasons. But it's great because it's tradable, right? Statistically, oozes make your deck weaker, but it feels better to just totally own a rogue or a warrior or whatever. So, whatever. Um, but now that these cards have tradable strapped onto them, that makes them much better. I want to see the stats on it. I feel like it would be bad if they were too good, like if tech cards suddenly become just kind of staples, right? That might be a bad thing for the game. But overall, I think Traveling Merchant might see play in like a Paladin deck or depending on how Druid goes with its new minion base too. So I think this could definitely fit into some of those decks, yeah, for sure. Cheesemonger. This is a fun one. So, whenever your opponent casts a spell, add a random spell with the same cost to your hand. It's 4 mana, 3/6, so pretty strong stats there. It's likely to stick around. And now this is whenever, right? So even if your opponent uses a spell to remove it, you still get a spell of that same cost, right? So you kind of get this idea of like, okay, I'm getting curve plays from it. I'm getting nice little um things from being able to just like pop this down. But is that enough for standard? I don't know. This is like a good tech against like Spell Druid or against I guess potentially Hunter. Hunter does tend to run a lot of spells. And they can be used for removal, but you got to use like two or three of them, right? So the nice thing about let's like take the Spell Druid example. Those spells, they're going to cast a lot of spells, and like none of them are removal, right? So either you completely disrupt their game plan, or they play into your cheesemonger, right? And then they're not even guaranteed to kill it with all that, right? Because if you're against mage, they're just going to fireball it. Yeah, you get a 4 cost spell, but that's just kind of the price of doing business as mage, right? Um, Druid has a lot less counterplay. Hunter has less counterplay, right? Because you're guaranteed to get like two or three spells out of that Hunter. You're going to squeeze them for it, right? Um, that said, this is obviously a meta dependent card. It's a tech card, just like Trogs, right? Um, I don't know how valuable random spells at the same cost are. I know generally the power level of everything has gone up, so there aren't that many just like bad cards, just outright bad ones, right? You're never going to get like a magma rager level card off of this. But at the same time, I don't think the meta is going to be so spell dependent that you'll want to run Cheesemonger. It'll be fun in the arena. It's a good it's not as oppressive as the old towers, the watchtowers, right? But it's probably a good balance. It's good in the specific scenario where spell decks are dominant, but Otherwise, probably a little too weak, which is good. This is clearly a tech card, and it's well designed. Guild Trader. This is a very good one, I think, for some fun combos. Not very good for general use. So 4 mana, 3/4, tradable, spell damage +2. 4 mana, spell damage +2 used to be on a 2/2 body back in, it was the Evolved Kobold back in Wrath of the Old Gods. Is that what, Wrath? Whatever. So this is objectively stronger, and also it has tradable. It's just so fun. Um, yeah, like this is good, right? I don't think many people are interested in just having like spell damage +2 unless you're trying to do an OTK. But if you are trying to do an OTK and you're like, well, I don't need this one combo piece now, I'm gonna cycle it, and I'm gonna get into my draw, and I'm gonna draw stuff, and you can like manipulate discounts with it, right? You could if you run this and Egwin, right? You play her, she dies, you manipulate it so that this is the next minion you draw, right? Um, you can do all sorts of fun stuff with that. So now this is like spell damage +4 in mage, and then maybe you're doing the quest, so you have spell damage +7. Although that's probably a little overkill. um, this I think goes a long way to making a sort of some sort of combo. Maybe not a great combo. Probably not it's probably not viable, but it's fun, and that's what matters in Hearthstone. A lot of these neutrals have been fun and interesting, if not great, which just means that there are really fun and interesting ways to break them potentially. So I look forward to that. I look forward to seeing people's wacky 11 card combos with Guild Trader. We also have the Royal Librarian, which is a silence tech card. Here's another tech card with tradable, which I think was probably somebody came up with the idea for tradable, and then immediately everyone was like, let's slap it on all the tech cards this rotation, right? So we have our Spellbreaker stats in reverse and tradable. Very good. Spellbreaker was often worth running. This is just better Spellbreaker because of tradable. This is like so much better, because sometimes you're just in a matchup where you do not need to silence a minion. It's like, Hunter, and you're like, well, they don't have any effects on their minions. They're just fat and strong, and there are a million of them, right? It's like, all right, put this away. I don't need you. Put the book back on the shelf, as it were, right? So 4 mana, 3/4, treatable silence, absolutely going to see play in any, like it basically, think of it as like lowering the threshold for when you like need a silence, right? Like Ironbeak Owl is a hard sell at 3 mana. This is not a hard sell at 4, right? So I think plus the tradable, right? Like you just drop the threshold so much for whether this is a good card by adding tradable onto it. That's true of every single tech card. We already did Spice Bread Baker, so um I don't believe I did this. I'll double check. So 4 mana, 3/3, Deathrattle, summon a random 3-cost minion. This was like the only neutral Deathrattle in the entire set that was worth procking. There's like one that doesn't do anything and one that's a negative. So um, this is, or that's under 4, I should say. I think there are others, but I was thinking about Rogue. I was like trying to put a Deathrattle Rogue kit together, and I was just like, oh, there isn't anything. Surprise. Stubborn Suspect is like the closest we get. So if you draw this off of that card, you can summon a 3-drop, which is pretty good tempo with it. I did want to include that, but I still felt like I didn't have enough material for that to be one video, so I just left it off. So Stubborn Suspect, possibly good in Deathrattle Rogue. I just don't think Deathrattle Rogue is going to be good. All right, that's kind of where we are with that. There just are not enough good Deathrattles for it to proc. This is an okay one, but like you draw into it, right? But I just don't see this coming together. This otherwise this is a fine arena card. It's just like a nice little, yeah, I played a guy and he summoned another guy for me. Reminiscent of the 4 mana 3/3 that summons a 9/1, except you're probably going to summon much better stats than a 9/1. It's just way too easy to remove, right? So it's going to be better than a card that released last year, but that card is kind of mediocre, so it's fine. Battleground Battlemaster. I have not talked about this, and I imagine because Battleground is in the name, this goes in Battlegrounds. So adjacent minions have Wind Fury. If this were in Battlegrounds, this might as well read the minion to your left has Wind Fury, because you are not surviving a hit on a 5/5 body. But I really like this card. It again, it's like that big combo enabler, right? It is just to think about it as like Direwolf Alpha, but like pumped up to the max, right? Because you can't just think like, oh, I'm giving 2 minions Wind Fury. I am giving 2 minions their regular attack and then they trade. And then I'm giving 2 more minions their regular attack and they trade. And possibly another iteration of that, right? There is so much going on here. This is a huge combo enabler as well, like on top of being a good I'm thinking about this filling the 5 mana 2/2 that buffed everything by 2/2 next to it. I'm thinking that fills that slot from kobolds, right? When like zoo decks were popular. Odd Paladin loved that. I think Paladin might love this as well, because if you have your Divine Shield buffed up dudes, your 5 attack Divine Shield dudes, they're gonna love this, right? Because they automatically survive that first hit because of Divine Shield. So adjacent minions giving adjacent minions Wind Fury, giving anything Wind Fury just like on a whim, you know. I feel like there was a reason that was pretty locked to Shaman for a while, and now we're just giving it to everyone, and I think that's a little scary. I think this definitely sees play in any sort of board where you're like any sort of game where you are very concerned with like medium-sized minions, you know, functionally turning them into large-sized minions, right? Where games where you want to close out by like turn 6 or 7. So aggro decks with like medium-sized minions really like this. So I'm looking at Paladin for sure, and probably Druid as well. But this is gonna see play for sure. We did Lions Guard, Stormwind Guard, however, 5 mana, 4/5. Give a battle cry, give adjacent minions +1/+1, and it has taunt. Um, eh, it's okay. I think generally speaking, we prefer compare again to that Mushroom Boy, right? Giving +2/+2 to 2 guys. There's about it's a 2/3 difference between them, but those stats functionally had charge because you were giving it to the adjacent minions. Of course, this feels less bad to play by itself. The Mushroom guy was completely unplayable on his own. So in that sense, it balances out a little bit, but I just don't think that's like something you're concerned about. If your board is empty on turn 5 and this is still your best play, you've already lost the game as an aggro deck. All right. And plus, yeah, it has taunt. So I'm thinking maybe this isn't even an aggro card. Not that, aggro can't run taunt, but just that, you know, like why do you need it at that point in the game? You would much rather have the mushroom guy in this scenario. Not that I mean that was like the best of the best, right? So maybe it kind of balances out. Maybe because that was so strong. Maybe like the ceiling's a little too high. My expectations are up there, but I don't think this is good. Sorry, Stormwind Guard, you are outclassed by your Lion Guard friend over there. City Architect. This is interesting. Reminds me of Arcanasmith. So it's 6 mana, 4/4. Battlecry, summon 2/0/5 castle walls with taunt. Let's check out those castle wall tokens. And they're it's just a shot at the walls. What did I think would happen? Yeah, Arcanasmith was 4 mana, 3/2. That summoned one of those 0/5 tokens. Eh. I mean, Arcanasmith was like fun in Arena. This will probably be the same. I think it's a little weak. You are getting 2/0/5 walls on a bigger body for more, like not proportionately more mana. This is a more mana efficient card, but also things have changed a lot since Karazhan. I think this still is just okay. I don't think it sees play in anything really. I mean, summoning 0/5s, those are pretty easy to clear, right? So there's no penalty for like just running into them, right? So maybe this is just like kind of a soft like freeze effect, right? Where you're just like, you can't attack me this turn because I put up these taunts, and it's like, cool, whatever. Maybe you buy yourself a turn on 6. Maybe this is like a quest priest game plan, right? I don't think so. I mean, I guess it's a maybe in like very limited decks, but like overall, this is pretty weak. We already did Cornelius Rome. Lady Prestor, I believe we missed her. She was the one legendary we haven't done yet. She's going straight on the cover. So she's a 6 mana, 6/7 battlecry. Transform minions in your deck into random dragons. They keep their original stats and cost. It's so stupid. It's such an absolutely wild effect. There's, I want to say there's no way it's good, but I feel like we're just gonna absolutely like deck of lunacy ourselves here, right? Because I mean, like, imagine you run like a bunch of one drops and you just get like you get like 1 mana Malagos and 1 mana Alexstrasza, um but also you could get 1 mana Fairy Dragon and 1 mana um the Horde Dragon, whatever it's called, right? There are a lot of like middling dragons that you want just because of their stats. So I feel like the high roll potential is beautiful, but overall there's just so much bad, right? And it's like, okay, you got a Malagos. Did you pack enough spells for him to be worth it? And then also, did you pack too many spells so that you're not even really getting value out of the dragons, right? I don't know. I just seems not so great to me. Um, it's gonna be fun. People are gonna be running the heck out of it. It's gonna be absolutely awesome. But that's being fun doesn't affect your viability. I think it's just kind of trash, honestly. All right, Moarg, Forge Fiend. We're almost there, guys. 8 mana, 8/8 demon with taunt. This gets shoved into every control N'Zoth, which is every N'Zoth. Um, you know, this is going to be competing with the the weaponsmith in Warrior for that res slot, right? Um, you might even stop running the little the smith guy, but this is really powerful. I mean, 8 mana, 8/8 taunt, kind of like a snooze fest, but then gain 8 armor. Oh crap. Unless I can kill you with spells, this is a huge problem. This comes down on turn 8 against aggro. Aggro is about to close out the game. That might seal the deal. That might stabilize in just one hit there, right? Probably not against Quest Hunter, for example, because I still think that's going to be the dominant meta force. But um, this is very powerful. Just being able to gain 8 armor. And on a neutral, too. A demon that just gives you 8 armor. The demon tag, I feel like people tend to underestimate N'Zoth a little bit, myself included, but the demon tag really makes this just like absurd, right? Because it's like, all right, I just beat through your first Forge Fiend on 8. I used up a lot of resources, but I think I can close out the game. Then you're N'Zoth and I can't anymore, right? Like this is just so powerful. Specifically in conjunction with N'Zoth, but also a little bit in general. And we have, that's it. That was the last guy. Forge Fiend is our last boy here. All right. Yeah, this is that was all the neutrals that were left. I was thinking about doing a third video, but I really just wanted to get this all done in one go. So tell me what you guys think of this set. This is it. This is everything. We've done it all. Tell me what you think of the set in the comments below. Give this video a like if you liked the video. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow morning's video. There will be one tomorrow morning, I swear. It's going to be another tier list. It's going to be the remaining legendaries. So it's going to be a long one. Get some snacks. Buckle up. All right. I'll see you all then.